Hello, my name is Dr. Swati Gola, and I'm a lecturer at the University of Exeter in the Department of Law. So let me take you on a journey today that started with golden rice. Golden rice is a variety of rice which is genetically modified to contain beta carotene, and it was in late 90s. It was done by some scientists in Europe. And it was hailed at that time as a solution for vitamin A deficiency in poor countries where people cannot afford a balanced diet. And growing up in Delhi, India, I have seen urban poverty from up close, especially when shanties are a regular feature of the urban landscape. So the everyday existential struggles of poor people have impressed very deeply upon me. So as a fresh law graduate, I was really excited to hear about this solution to nutrition deficiency and hunger, and I wanted to learn more. And what did I learn? Well, I learned that poverty and hunger is a social issue which need political will and social policies to address. That there are social, economical and cultural factors that contribute to vitamin A deficiency. That a technological solution cannot actually achieve sustainable food security. There are many plant-based resources full of beta carotene available, but what's lacking is that oil that's needed to cook them so that they can be absorbed. And then I came across the cost of research. Technology transfer, setup, corporate ownership and intellectual property right issues. And I came across health inequality. Health inequality is like those systemic, unjust and avoidable differences in the health status of different section of people in the society. And the more I researched, the more I learned, it actually gave me a sense of despair, a bit of anger, frustration. Like pandemic like COVID actually have not only just deepened these health inequalities, but they have also like brought them to the surface. And now it's more visible. And human rights are not just some lofty ideals. They are actually embodiment of the key values in the society like fairness, justice, equality, dignity and respect. From Holocaust to Pride Parade, human rights have actually protected vulnerable people against abuse. And I felt that privileged people like myself have a duty to be the voice of the voiceless. And this is what got me interested in and be an advocate for human rights, especially the right to health, which is the focus of my research. Is there a right to be healthy, I hear you ask? Of course not. One cannot make a claim to be healthy as a matter of right. But what one can claim are those conditions which are really important to achieve that good health, like safe and potable water, food and nutrition, adequate sanitation, housing. So during my doctoral research, I explored the interrelation between international trade law and human rights through healthcare services. And I found that these widespread inequalities actually restrict people from accessing healthcare services, especially in poor countries where now the private sector is a default service provider. And do you know that out-of-pocket expenditure has been one of the factors that has pushed families into intergenerational poverty? And these inequalities actually increase when foreign patients access those limited healthcare resources because they can afford it. That's what medical tourism is. And the countries actually promote it because they get foreign revenue. But that revenue hardly ever trickles down to improve the health outcome of the poor people. And instead of actually controlling the behavior of the private sector healthcare providers like hospitals, the governments actually hide behind the international trade obligations. But research is not only about finding problems, it's also about looking for solutions. It's also about digging deep, exploring, reflecting, and recommending changes. For example, international trade law does not actually restrict the government's ability to regulate those private sector hospitals so far as they are not disguised trade restrictions. That actually right to health obliges the states to protect people against the action of the third party or private sector hospitals. That people don't need to rely on the state's welfare policies for their health needs. They can actually demand them as a matter of right. There was a case in Ireland where the Irish government actually restricted these two NGOs who were from actually giving any information on including the location or how to communicate with abortion clinics in England. And the Irish Supreme Court actually supported that ban. But the European Court of Human Rights actually held that this ban violates the human right to impart and receive information and makes those services inaccessible. The court noted that actually this ban puts pregnant women's health and life at risk, who may later go for termination of pregnancy and without any counseling. So you can see that the state policy was restricting a pregnant woman's bodily autonomy, and the human rights framework was used to challenge and change those state policies. Right now, I am interested in exploring the relationship between law, medicine, and colonization and their collective impact on human health. So as you can see, the challenges are diverse, immense, and the research journey continues. So thanks for listening.